Now, in order to understand the relationship between the funds market or the loans market and interest rates, we need to understand the demand and supply curves in the interest rate markets. In reality, there are multiple markets for interest rates, such as the loans market, the bonds market, mortgage markets, and auto loans market, and so on. If we were to take each market separately to determine the effect of interest rates on demand and supply of funds flow into that market, it would be a very time-consuming and unnecessarily detailed exercise for our purpose. So let's consider the flow of funds into and out of the capital markets as a single market, calling it the funds market, and a single interest rate, calling it the interest rate. And next, let's study the effects of interest rates on demand and supply of these funds and vice versa. So let's begin with the demand curve. The demand curve is a downward sloping line, since higher the rates, less the demand for funds. Borrowers will find it too expensive to borrow at high rates, and therefore the curve is downward sloping, and borrowers would increase their borrowings at lower interest rate levels. So this is why the demand curve is a negative sloping line. The supply curve slopes upwards, since higher the rates, the more willingness of lenders to lend. Lower the rates, lower the supply of loanable funds. So both the demand and supply curves depict the behavior of sources and users of funds. The number of borrowers must equal the number of lenders, and the rate at which that happens is called the equilibrium rate of interest. The equilibrium rate changes if there is a shift in either the demand curve or the supply curve. The shifts in the demand or supply curve are caused by various factors that affect the behavior of borrowers and lenders, which we shall look at. For example, we have looked at the Consumer Confidence Economic Indicator in the Economic Indicators course, which is nothing but an index that measures the changes in consumer confidence in the economy. When households are less confident about the economy, their willingness to borrow decreases. They spend less, save more, and therefore lend more. This causes a shift in the demand curve to the left. Likewise, the behavior of all the sectors that supply and demand funds cause shifts in the demand and supply curve, which in turn result in the fluctuation of interest rates. To understand these fluctuations in interest rates, we need to understand the forces that cause the behaviors of the various sectors to change. And that's what we'll look at next. We will look at each individual sector next and the forces that cause the behaviors in each sector to change.